A little Dennis, little la la la. Hello, this is Sophie Dawson from sophiedawson.com, and this is episode 130 of the Sophie Art Podcast, which is a little podcast that I do about the art and things. And this one is about the things, and today we're going to be talking about entities, mainly entities to do with dreaming, lucid dreaming. Ooh. But what happens is, I've noticed that these entities, they also exist in meditations, stuff like that, and I also think that they're probably the same things that people who take psychedelics encounter. So I'm going to talk about, I've got a list of different entities that I've met in the dream realm, and a lot of these are reoccurring entities. They keep coming back, and they take different forms and stuff. So I'm just going to talk about them because I think I'm really excited for this one, and lilDENNiS is as well, the little co-host. He's really excited, but we're actually joined by a new guest today, little Froggy. We've got a little Froggy friend. He's so cool. So he's going to sit on the desk and listen in because he's quite interested, and he's got a very happy face. So I hope you enjoy this one. Doing! lilDENNiS is getting straight into it again. He loves getting into these now. Little kitty kisses. She's still got her titties. lilDENNiS has been playing with them, but they're still nice and firm. Naughty Dennis. So they're in their little house. You can see their little house and stuff at youtube.com/Sophie Dawson. Boing! But let's get into this one. I can't wait for this. So what I'm going to do is, there's one main entity I really want to talk about, which is it's a golden being. It was a being of light. I really want to talk about that one, but I think what I'd like to do is just talk about all of these quickly and then see what happens. So the ones I've got on my little list here. So, well, lucid dreaming is where you go into a dream and you become aware that you're dreaming. So it's almost like you're still sleeping, but you're awake at the same time. It's very strange. And what happens is sometimes it's an entity or a dream figure that actually wakes you up. So you start wondering, because all of these figures here, all of these entities, I'm always wondering, are these entities separate from me? As in, are they separate entities with a conscience and stuff like that? Or are they all mind generated? Or maybe is it even the same thing? Maybe is mind generated entities, maybe they are actually all separate. But so that's the thing I'm thinking about. But the type of entities that I've got here are, there's an entity who I've called the intimidating character. Yeah, so what happens with these is, they are in the dream. Normally, these are actually in regular dreams. I don't think I've ever been lucid with one of these. I think I've had a false awakening, which is where you wake up, you think you've woken up, but you're actually still sleeping. So you wake up in your bed, you're convinced you're awake, and then you might do something like turn the light on and off. Because if you turn the lights on, you can say, "Am I dreaming?" And if the lights don't work, or if they misbehave, that can actually make you become lucid. I feel like I've woken up before with one of these intimidating figures. So what they do is, they're kind of like the next one. These intimidating characters, for me, they always take the form of like a blokey bloke. So I wonder whether that is just because I'm transgender and stuff, I was always a bit intimidated by, I suppose, people like my dad, very blokey blokes. So I do wonder whether these ones are mind generated. So it's like some sort of subconscious fear or something which is generating these characters. And maybe if I could become lucid and face them, I could... Because what happens is, I've heard somebody say, if you're in a dream and you become lucid and you're face to face with an entity or a figure or anything, say to it, "What are you?" Because if you say, "What are you?" and you can actually prove this, because I did it once and I proved it. It's, again, you can do these experiments. So when somebody says something is the way it is in a dream, what you can do is you can do the experiment yourself to prove to yourself. Yeah, so it's almost like you never take somebody's word for it. But in my experience as well, if you say, "What are you?" the dream, the figure or the entity, it has to tell the truth. It's almost as if it's not allowed to lie. So if it's really like a demon pretending to be something, because one of the later characters in the figures in here is actually a shapeshifter. I get these a lot, shapeshifters. So if you say, "What are you?" it will reveal itself as a demon if it's really a demon. So that's something. So I would love to have one of these intimidating characters and say to it, "What are you?" Yeah, so one of the latest ones I had, which was a couple of weeks ago, what happened was, I was in this lucid dream. No, it wasn't. It was a semi-lucid. This is the thing, you get dreams, you get lucid dreams, you get these other dreams where you're aware that you're dreaming, but you're still just observing it. And it's only when you wake up you sort of think to yourself, "I knew I was dreaming there." It's almost like you know you're dreaming, but you don't quite realise you're dreaming. So I was in some sort of theatre or something. It was a boat, a big boat with a theatre or something. And my mum was there and some other people. And this bloke come along. He was very sort of, intimidating. And I said to my mum, "Who's that?" And everyone started laughing as if, "Oh, you don't realise who that is." Yeah, it was almost. And what happened was, this person was actually a famous person, but I didn't know who it was. So then what happened was, this intimidating character, he actually took my hand and he started walking off. So I separated from the rest of the group. It was just me and this intimidating character, and we walked down this ship like a big long corridor. And then he took his belt off as if he was going to start whipping me and stuff. So what I did, what my dream self did, was it took its belt off, basically the version of me in that dream wasn't scared of it. Whereas in the past, I've had these intimidating figures, and I've actually been scared of them sometimes, but I wasn't. And what happened was, the minute this happened, he actually said, "Well done." And then when I woke up, it felt, because what happened after that was really weird. He said, "Well done," it felt to me like as if I had passed the test of not being intimidated by it. What happened then was, it must have been about 8 different figures come into this room, and they all looked identical to this other one. And there was another figure there who seemed to be, this is one of these figures who seems to be conscious on their own, because they have a different energy about them. Yeah, they definitely feel like a separate person in your dream, as if they are aware that you're dreaming. Yeah, even if you're not, they know that you're in a dream. So they're sort of like helping you or something. So what happened was, this other one, it started saying to me, it explained that all these other people, it was the same person. So what ended up was, you had 8 basically clones in this room. They were all wearing different outfits, but they had all identical faces. And I started crying, but it was tears of joy. I've got no idea why. And then I woke up, and when I woke up, I thought, it really felt like I had passed a test by not being scared of this intimidating character. But I've had so many of these, and it links into the next one, which this is one that I have so much. Again, I don't think I've ever been lucid with this one. So what this one does is, you'll be in a dream, and you'll suddenly be aware that something's on your back, and it feels like something's piggybacking. It's as if you're giving something a piggyback, but you don't want to. And what happens is, it starts tightening. Yeah, it starts tightening up, and because it's on your back, if you turn around, you just can't see it, but you can really feel it. Yeah, I don't like those ones. But again, I've never become lucid with those, which is a bit of a shame. So those ones are very unpleasant, because it feels just like you've got some sort of horrible creature attached to your back, and it's like it's squeezing you. Yeah, they're quite weird. I don't get scared by them. They're just really uncomfortable. Yeah, then you've got another one here, which are the ones that seduce you. Yeah, but what I put here is they turn evil if you say no. Again, I've had so many of these as well. They normally are really beautiful females. Yeah, they're almost like, well, super sexy. Normally have really big breasts. And the thing is, they're like tempting you, trying to sort of seduce you in, and you go towards it, and then I've been lucid with a lot of these. If you resist them, basically, the moment you resist them, they reveal themselves to be like demons or something. Yeah, so I've had those a lot as well. Those ones feel like separate entities to me. Yeah, and they're sort of linked in with the shapeshifters, which are coming a bit later. I've put here the golden being. I want to do that one last, I think, because that one's amazing. I really don't know what that one is. I had these other creatures, which I called the ball creatures. This was one of my very first few lucid dreams. I kept having this reoccurring dream of tornadoes. There was a tornado coming through like the city, destroying everything. And one night I became lucid. There was this little village in the middle of a forest. Trees were everywhere. Little village, and this tornado was coming towards this village. I became lucid, and what I realised was there was these two like bull creatures. They were like humans with bulls' heads. Very weird. And there was two of them. One of them seemed to be they both seemed to be a little bit, I would say, maybe nasty. I don't know, but one of them seemed more friendly, and the other one seemed really sort of evil, negative. Yeah, actually, that's it. One was positive, one was negative, but the positive one was still not really super positive. But they were talking this really weird language. I couldn't understand them. And then what happened was I went like that because I was lucid, and I created a tornado. I fired a tornado out. And what happened was the tornado I put out, it intercepted, it went into the other tornado that was going to hit the village, and it disappeared. It basically cancelled out the tornado. So what happened was I saved this little village from being attacked. And then what happened was, all of a sudden, these two bull creatures, they were still talking a weird language. Suddenly I could understand them. And the one that was more negative, it turned to me and it said something like, I've wrote this in my dream diary, it was something like, I wouldn't want to be you tonight. Something like that, as if, but the other one, the one that was more positive, he looked impressed. Yeah, he looked impressed, as if, I didn't think you would be able to do that. The other one, he had this look of being impressed, but he was also like, oh, you've really brought it on yourself now by doing that. So that was these little ball creatures. I really liked these ones because these were definitely creatures that felt like separate entities. They were nothing to do with me because I've never seen anything like them before. So there's no reason why I would be creating these ball creatures. And again, what it was, they were sort of behind me. It was only when I became lucid that I realised they were behind me. And that's what I've noticed a lot is, what will happen is there's always seemingly entities behind you in dreams. Yeah, almost as if you get some that are like observers, some that are like guides, some that are just almost taking notes. Yeah, but they'll always be behind you, so that you can't see them. And it's only when you become lucid you can turn around, and sometimes they do actually think, oh no, they've seen me. Sometimes they just pretend, they just carry on as normal. So these two were behind me. It was only when I turned around they started communicating, but they were talking like a different language thing. Then you've got these ones that look like family members but are shapeshifters. Again, I have these a lot. A lot of the time it's my mum, my sister, my mum. Normally my mum and my sister. So what will happen is you'll be in a dream. You'll be interacting with these family members, and you're convinced that they're just family members. What will happen is you'll either become lucid, and you'll be able to notice a little subtle thing that's not quite right. Yeah, and as soon as you realise it's not quite right, it's almost as if it understands. It's almost as if it realises the game's up. It's as if it's realised it's not tricking you anymore. So then what it will do is it will just shapeshift into like a demonic little creature or something. Yeah, some sort of. The thing is, they talk about this. You get these really scary looking entities sometimes. The thing is, I'm not scared of them. Yeah, it's weird. You're like face to face with these creatures which are very scary sometimes, but you can just talk to them. It's quite weird. Yeah, it's quite weird. It goes all the way back to a meditation I had in 2013, I think, 2014, where I was face to face with this demon. Yeah, it was like a witch. One of the most scariest things I've ever seen, I think. And I was in the meditation. It was more real than real, and I knew that I could have woke myself up or got myself out of it. But I said I just stayed there. I faced it. After that, whenever I've had like a demon or something in a dream, I've been able to sit with it instead of running away or something. But these family member ones, these are really tricky ones. Yeah, because I would say they are 99.9% like your family member. So what I start thinking is, how many dreams have I had where I think I'm... Because if you think about it, let's say it's some sort of negative entity, if it takes the shape of a family member, somebody that you trust, that could have if it can take the shape of a family member, you trust them. It knows, because what I think is it's inside your head. It knows you better than you know yourself, because it's inside the subconscious. So it knows that if it becomes this person, it could do whatever it wants, and you would do it. So what I'm saying, if you're in a dream, a regular dream, and you've got a family member manipulating you, when you wake up, that's going to have an effect on you. So what I'm thinking is these shapeshifters, they could actually be sort of messing with you. They might not just be negative; they might be positive. Yeah, because again, maybe what happens is you've got like some sort of like an angel thing, and it realises it's the best way to communicate is via a family member. So maybe like you've got an angel figure, or an angel that shapeshifts into a family member, because that's the best way to get the message across. It goes into that thing when you die and you see family members or near-death experience and stuff. Again, how do you not know that is actually like some sort of angel or a higher being who's shapeshifted into a family member, because that's the best way to communicate with you. Stuff like that. So I love these. I do find them very fascinating. And it's weird, when they shapeshift like that. 1 minute they are your family member, and the next split second, as soon as you realise that they are not the family member, they will shapeshift. They're quite cool, really. You've got these little creatures as well. So these are really cool. You either get little tiny people. They're like about the size of your finger, like your middle finger. Little tiny little creatures, little people. Sometimes they look like little cartoon characters, but the ones I get a lot they're about the size of my fingernail. Absolutely tiny little robins. The bird, the robin. You get these tiny little ones. They are so small. It's amazing. I've actually become lucid with them now. If I see them in a dream, that's like a trigger for me to become lucid. These little tiny robins, I love those, but the little people are so fun. Yeah, they're amazing now, because, well, it's like they're living a little life inside your dream. But they feel very powerful, those ones. They feel very powerful. They always feel to me as if they are some of the most wisest dream figures or something. Yeah, it feels to me like they are maybe... Well, I've started wondering whether they are the things behind the dream, sort of running the show, or something like that. But they're cool. I love those ones. You got the guides. So I had one who, I put here, God's receptionist. My very first lucid dream, my very first self-induced lucid dream, it lasted about 45 minutes. And what happened was I had this, well, there's these other entities which are just voices. So you hear like a voice behind the dream booming. And that to me feels like, I think when we're in a dream, we're inside some sort of, let's say like a virtual reality, the dream is. But there's something outside of the virtual reality that can look inside and watch everything. Almost like we would watch a film or something. I feel like that the voice that you hear that's booming, I think that's actually an entity that is in like a source reality, or yeah, it's basically outside of the dream looking in. So it's it can communicate with you like that. So that's one thing. I've had that a lot. Another one is this God's receptionist, and there's also a New Earth lady. A lady came to me the other day and said about the New Earth, and that they feel like guides. I had another one once. It was leading me through this, it was like a path going through like a country lane or something, and it was just telling me loads of information. I had another one where I went into. What happened was I went into like some sort of wormhole thing, popped into this, what felt like an alternate reality, and there was somebody there who, I just know that they knew stuff, and they were trying to communicate all this information. I took down as much as I could when I woke up, but that was another one that felt to me like it was wise, and that's the thing, these guides, they feel super wise, and they feel like they are, well, they're trying to help you. Yeah, you can ask them anything, and they will answer it. And the thing is, they will answer things that you don't know. Well, this is amazing. This. So what happened was that first self-induced lucid dream. I had this guide there who I've said was God's receptionist. See, but he was funny. Yeah, and that's the thing. A lot of these dream figures, especially the ones that they feel like they're conscious separately from you. They're funny. They've got a real sense of humour, which I think is brilliant. So you're in this thing where it feels super serious. The things they're telling you are super serious, but they're having a laugh as well. I love that, because I think it'd be a bit boring if it was all serious. So what happened was this one. What was it? I said, why was I born transgender? And it wasn't like, why was I born transgender? It was more like a curiosity, like almost like somebody would say, why are we born human? It was like that. Why was I born transgender? And this thing, it said something about God, and I says, is God a he? Because I think he referred to God as he, and I would always refer to God as an it, because I don't think it's a he. But then so what happened? Then I said, what I said about why was I born transgender, what it said, I think God could tell you, but it might break the illogical fallacy. This was about 2 years ago, I think. Over the last 2 years, I've learned so much stuff about spiritual things and that, and time, and how time isn't what we think it is and stuff. I'm starting to feel like you're born transgender because you're almost like you're from the future. Yeah, because all the things that have happened this is so weird, all the things that have happened in my life because of transgender, all of a sudden, all that's the stuff that's going on in the world now with like the virus and stuff, all the things that I've learnt from transitioning, it's almost like it's being mirrored in the world. So it's almost as if being transgender was the best way for me to be able to, well, I was going to say like help the world, I suppose. So what I feel like is everyone is going through a little journey. Yeah, I feel like everyone's going through a little journey. You're learning your lessons. Well, what it feels like to me is this is going to sound a bit weird. It feels like the earth selects people. Yeah, imagine this. The earth, because the earth is not in. I feel like the earth is not in time like we are. So it knows what's going to happen in the future, and it can see that. I think it can see that the timelines are going to split, negative and positive. What it wants is it wants as many people positive, because the earth itself, I think, wants to be positive. So if the creatures on the earth are positive, the earth becomes positive. If the creatures go negative, the earth goes negative, because they're linked. So the earth desperately, I think, wants to go positive. So what it does is it selects people, and so maybe what I thought was, this one here, if this one is made transgender, all the stuff it will learn, it will have the maximum probability of being positive. So in a weird way, what it does is it does negative things to somebody, again, like suffering. Maybe the reason you suffer is because you learn stuff so that later on you can actually use that to help lots of other people. So it's almost like, in a weird way, it's almost like the earth is, it's almost causing somebody to suffer because it knows that it's actually going to help a lot more in the long run. Yeah, I like that. So that's the guy. You got these dragons as well. This is another one I've had a lot. Is a dragon. There's this dragon. I haven't seen it for ages, I don't think. But I went through about 6 months of this dragon all the time, and it was massive. I used to see it in my meditation as well. The thing was, you could feel it. You could feel its presence. It was amazing. But what happened towards the end was, this dragon started showing up in my meditations. This massive dragon, super scary, you would think, but I was looking at it it's like beautiful. I was looking at the details of it, and I was just thinking, somebody has created that, and it was like just this beautiful creation. And I thought to myself, well, yeah, imagine if when you die you're face to face with like demons or something, and imagine if instead of looking at them, I was going to say shit your nicks, instead of shitting your nicks, imagine if you could look at them as a way you would look at like a painting. Yeah, imagine if you could look at a demon, so it's real, because you've died, you're in the realm of the dead, and it's real. But you're looking at this demon, and instead of being scared, you're looking at it and just admiring the beauty of it, the shapes of it, the textures, even the scariness of it, I suppose. Yeah, imagine that. I think that would be amazing. What would happen then? Because the demon would know that, you wouldn't be afraid of it. So I wonder whether actually the demon would lose its power at that point. Yeah. So I learned a really big lesson with that dragon. And what I've started doing in my everyday life is, if I see little creatures that I'm a bit scared of, I've actually started going towards them and just looking at them. So spiders. And the other day I was at work, there was this massive long, what's they called, centipede or something, with all those little legs. I used to be scared of that. What I do now is I look at it, and I just look at it as like a work of art. I almost look at it as if it's a little creature that's been created. And I was watching all these little legs and everything. And what I did was I blew on it. I do this with little flies as well. If you go up to a little fly or something and blow on it, you can see its little wings like flapping. So I start thinking to myself, what is that fly thinking when it's got this wind blowing on it? I've done it with spiders as well. The other day there was a spider at work. I put my hand down and I let the spider crawl across me. Yeah, little things like that. And then again the other day there was a daddy long legs flying about in my room. In the old days I would have been really scared there, and I probably would have, because I was just about to go to bed, I probably wouldn't have been able to go to sleep. But what I did was I just looked and I thought, okay, there's a little dragon. Because the thing with those is that they fly about so randomly, they're really unpredictable. And the thing was, I could hear it. It was like knocking against the wall again, because it's so unpredictable. But what I did was I just put my head on the pillow and went to sleep. So I let it be, which is cool. So this is one of the amazing things about lucid dreaming. All these entities that you're meeting, a lot of them I've noticed are fear. It's like you're facing fears, or you're being guided, you're being helped. So you're either facing things that you're scared of, or you're facing things that are helping you to try to help you to face the things you're scared of. So again, everything feels like it's all based around fear. It's all based around facing fear. And then what happens is, this is why I love lucid dreaming. When you wake up in the waking state, you actually do start to become a lot more fearless. And it's not just things like little creatures and stuff. It's psychological things as well. Yeah, like the face masks and stuff, which actually I've got to talk about that, because they've changed the rules, and for me the fear has now got a little bit stronger than the courage, which is what I talked about before. So I've got to basically I can't wait for the next Face Mask and Freedom podcast. I think it's going to be quite interesting. But again, because you're facing fear in the lucid dreams and the regular dreams, when you're in the waking state, you can start facing them in there. And again, if you just look at everything like an experiment. So if you face a fear in the waking state and it doesn't work the way you wanted, it's just an experiment. So all you do is you just go home and think about it, analyse it, and then try again. It's cool. Well, I've got another one here, which is there's this another entity. There's this lady. She looks to me like a hag. She actually looks like the shapeshifters. So these family members that are shapeshifters, they very often look like a hag, it's like a witch. Yeah. So I've had this witch character for so long. I haven't seen her. I also haven't seen her for ages. But what used to happen was she would be in sync with you. So she would be latching onto you and sending out like a vortex of energy. Yeah, almost like the vortex was going to latch onto you. And for me, it felt like either draining your energy or putting negative energy inside of you. And what would happen is, no matter where you went, it's almost like you were looking in a mirror. No matter where you went, she was there. So if you hid behind a wall and then ran a mile and popped your head back out under the wall, she would still be there. It's almost like you couldn't escape it. It's really weird, that. And sometimes because something happens to me a lot in these lucid dreams and regular dreams, is I'll be invisible. So nobody can see me, but there'll be one or two figures that can see me. And she's normally one of those. So if I'm in a dream where I'm invisible, very often this hag lady will show up, almost as if she's sort of saying, you can't escape me or something. There's also, I've got two more left here. I've got another one which is like a freaky looking human. These are so weird. It's almost like, to me, this feels like you have a dream where you've teleported to another planet or something, or an alternate reality where it's, say, 5% different to Earth. So it's almost like you're on a different Earth. So you got human creatures. Well, they're human beings, but they're deformed. So they might have like a stretched head or squished bodies. Really weird, because they are humans, but they're a little bit weird. And in those, I'm always a human. Yeah, so I'm always like the odd one out there, because I'm always a human and all the other ones are these weird things. The last one, well, these are amazing. Healing cubes. Well, when I was a child, every time I got ill, if I ever got ill as a child, I'd always be really excited, because when I went to sleep, I would have this dream about these two cubes. It would be a big cube and a little cube. And what would happen is the big cube and the little cube would start, well, sort of like merging or something. And what would happen is, this is weird, it's like you were floating in space, observing these cubes. But the thing was, you were the cubes, but you were also observing the cubes. So at the same, you were sort of existing everywhere at the same time. Weird. And what happened was, you would feel it. So you would feel like the expansion, like a never-ending expansion feeling. As these two cubes merged, you'd feel this never-ending expansion sensation. Again, this is so beautiful. That's why I would look forward to being ill as a child. It was weird. But the other thing that would happen is you would taste smells and smell colours, and all the senses were getting weird. But all that existed were these two cubes. Now, what's weird is, years later, because I'd sort of forgotten about that, years later I had a Reiki healing session, and what happened was, that feeling, that expansion feeling, and the mixing of senses, that all came back. And I thought, wow, I didn't see the cubes, and I haven't actually seen the cubes since my childhood. But I also had a meditation, I think it was last year or earlier this year, where again I felt that expansion feeling, and it's such a unique feeling, but you can't describe it. Yeah, the only way I've been able to really sort of describe it is, imagine you as like a little creature standing on a balloon, and somebody was blowing the balloon up, but the balloon, it would never pop. So in other words, the balloon could just keep blowing up. So you're standing on the edge, you can feel the balloon expanding, but at the same time you're also the air inside the balloon. So you're sort of, it's weird. It's like you're inside the balloon as the air, but you are also outside of it, feeling it expanding. Really weird, but I love that. Yeah, for me that's like the most beautiful feeling in the world. Nothing beats that. And the thing is, well, this is my problem at the minute. I'm trying so hard to get back to that in the meditation, but you can't, because the thing is, this is what gets really weird. It's the same thing with trying to go out of body in a lucid dream or in a dream. What happens is, the more you try to do it, the more you're not going to do it. The way to do it is to not try to do it. So that means the way to do it is to not try to do it, but you've got to try to not try to do it. So you end up in this sort of pickle. Yeah, and the amount of times I'm in a meditation, in actual fact, the other day, when was it? It was about 3 weeks ago maybe. What happened was, because what happens for me is, the feeling, it starts to approach. You can feel it. Imagine there's like a cloud. And you can sort of feel the cloud coming. Yeah, so what happens is, you can feel it coming. And the thing is, if you can just let it feel without actually doing anything, it will come. But what happened with me the other week was, I could feel it coming, and I started getting excited, thinking, oh, it's coming. And as soon as I'd done that, it just went. And the amount of times, again, in a lucid dream or something, you're trying to go out of body, because there's things that happen when you're going out of body. Your body starts to go a bit fuzzy. And what happened is also, well, you get this sound as if you're in the middle of a storm or something, and vibrations and all the rest of it. But again, as soon as you start feeling that, it's so easy to start getting excited or scared. Yeah, either you get super excited or you get super scared, and both of those extreme emotions, it stops it. So you've got to be really skillful at keeping yourself in the middle. Yeah, because what happens is, in those vibration things, I normally get scared, because I think there's a bit, part of me is like, what happens if I go out of body, and I don't know, there's some fear there. So it's fear stopping me with that, and then with this expansion feeling thing, the thing stopping me is excitement. Yeah, it's quite weird. But let's go back to this golden being. So this was incredible. So what happened was, I was in my bed. I just had a false awakening, which is where you realise you're dreaming. So I pushed the light. Am I dreaming? Ding! And the light didn't work. So I said, oh, I'm dreaming. So what happened was, very often, if I'm in a false awakening, very often, I'm in my bedroom. I know I'm in my bedroom. This is weird as well. You can feel your room. You can feel your room, but you can't see anything. It's so weird. It's like you're in, they call it the void, I think. And the void, well, the void is actually amazing. The void is like you're inside of a blank canvas. So when you're doing a painting, that blank canvas has got it could become anything. It's got all the possibility of becoming anything. That's what the void is, I think. When you're in the void, your thoughts are like the paint. Yeah, so in the painting, the canvas, you put your paint on, you start creating a painting. In the void, your thoughts start creating like the visuals and stuff. So what happened was, I was in my room, I knew I was dreaming. Again, this is weird as well. There seems to be a proximity to your body. So the void seems to be linked to your body somehow, because the further away you get from your body, this is for me at least, the more the visuals come in. Yeah, so it's almost like you have to sort of move away from your physical body in order to get into a dream or something. So what I did was I went through my bedroom door, I went down my stairs, through my front door. For me, the radius is normally the front door is where the visuals start to come in, or the kitchen downstairs, because that's two different directions. So it's almost like there's like a bubble around my body, which is going to be the void. Something like that. Weird. So what happened was, I went out the front door, I went through the front door, I was walking along, and in the left of my vision, I could see something. So I turned around, there was this figure, a golden being of light. I've never seen anything like it. The thing that's weird is it was so familiar. That's what's weird, because I was like, I've seen this before, but I've not seen it before. It was amazing, and it was a golden light. Yeah, golden light. It was like if you've ever played the video game Dragon Age, there's a scene in that where you have to go into, what do they call it? Actually, I think they might call that the void. No, but there's this, it might be the void. Is it the void? There's this bit where you have to basically go between worlds. You're travelling between worlds. And what happens is, you start seeing these spirit people. Yeah. So what happened was this it just looked like one of those sort of things, like a spirit. It was like imagine a human, and all you've got is the outline of the human, and it's filled with light. So there's no texture or nothing. It was just light. And what happened was, as I turned around, it's like it saw me, and it walked onto where I was, and it walked through my door. I thought, oh, what's it doing? So I followed it back through the door, because I wanted to see, because to me it was going into my body or something. So what I did was I turned around, I went through the front door, going back to my body, and I woke up. it's only as I thought about this more and more, well, yeah, to me, it feels like what happened there was, I think that being, that golden being was actually me. I feel like it's me somehow. And what happened was I was watching myself going back to my body. But I was watching myself go back to my body before I was going back to my body, almost as if I was slightly out of sync or something. Yeah. So, because I started thinking to myself, what would have happened if I hadn't gone back? That golden being would have gone into my body. I'm convinced of it. So if that went into my body and I didn't, it's weird. So what happened was I told my sister about this. And she said she got like the shivers or something. she got like the shivers because when she was a child, she had this dream, and she said it's a dream that stuck with her. She's never forgotten it. And what happened was she was dreaming. She had these 2 teddy bears, these massive teddy bears. We used to sit on them. We had one each. Well, they were both my sisters, but we had one each, and we pretended they were little boats or something. And we had their hands, and we were like as if we were on the water. They were massive teddies, but she had this dream about these teddies, and one of them come to life or something, and she was a little bit scared. She looked out the window. She said when she looked out the window, she saw one of these beings of light. Yeah. So then when I started telling her about this, she got the shivers because she thought, I've sort of seen that before, and she obviously thought, it's like you. So this is the thing. So I started thinking, and then what happened was after this, I went online. Because the thing with that being is it felt so unique, powerful, lots of energy. This is why I followed it, because it had like an energy about it. Yeah, so I started researching it online, and then what happened was there's this bloke. I've tried to put a link in the show notes. There's a video on YouTube. He's talking about layers of entities or something. In the middle, this is the thing, in the middle you've got humans. So this is why I think we are the balance point between negative and positive. That's what I think humans are. We're like we're the balance. So one way, you've got like your angels at the top. Underneath the angels, you've got your light beings. So these light beings are sort of, they're between humans and angels. But then at the other side, at the bottom, you've got like your demons. In between that, you've actually got your grey aliens. So that's quite weird. That was quite weird to me, finding that out. Yeah, but that video was really cool. And he was talking about these light beings, because they fascinated me, they did. Yeah. So for me, that was one of the most sort of, like my sister, I think that dream is going to stick with me forever. It was one of these moments where you felt like you were, I felt very, it felt special to me, that one. Yeah, but I want to know what it was and stuff. Oh, I love that though. There's so many more of these. So this is just me roughly like writing about these little entities and stuff. The thing for me is, I just want to know whether these entities are separate from you or not. And like that light being, for instance, that light being is definitely separate from me. But then, because I think it is me, is it really separate from me? That's weird. And it also goes into something else, because in these dreams, I've often thought, are we sort of jumping between timelines or something? Yeah. So like when we wake up in a false awakening or something, is that in another sort of alternate reality, like a parallel universe? So yeah, I love this. I love it. I love this. Really do love this. The only thing I'd say really, the way I'd finish this off is just saying that these entities are power. There's energy about them. That's why I'm convinced they're not just you. Some of them are. Some of them I think are. They're subconscious things coming out as as symbols in the dreams and stuff, but some of them are separate, and you can tell them. You can tell the ones that are separate, because again, they've got this energy about them. There's also something Robert Wagner said. What he said was, he said if you become lucid in a dream, you can say, "Can all thought forms disappear?" And what will happen is, you'll be left, let's say you're in a room with 1,000 dream figures. You say that, there might be 5 left. So in a weird way, what sort of happened there is, your dream is populated with these sort of, almost like non-playable characters in a video game. But yeah, it's almost like you're playing some sort of role-playing game, filled with these NPCs. So they're just almost like robots. They're there just to make the scene look convincing. But then you've got these other ones sprinkled in, who are actually, they're like aware, they're conscious and stuff. Ding! lilDENNiS, I think he enjoyed that one. And little Kitty did, because she kept very quiet. Put them back in their little house. I hope you enjoyed that one though. It's all talking about entities. I was going to talk about the face masks this week, but I really wanted to talk about these entities. I hope you enjoyed that. You can find show notes and everything at sophielawson.com. And you can also find videos at youtube.com/sophielawson. All that's left is this week's little inspirational quote. I love this one. Yeah, this one comes from Auliq Ice. It's AULIQ, and then it's Ice, ICE. And the quote is, "Only by facing your demons can you stop them having power over you." Amazing. This goes into something else as well. Very often we have like nightmares and stuff. Very often we're getting visited by these sort of demon creatures and stuff. Well, what if that's actually a positive thing? Because what if it's not that they're trying to scare you, it's that they're trying to help you. They're trying to help you sort of transcend the fear of them. Yeah. It goes into that thing about the little creature. Imagine that little caterpillar. I'm going over, or anything, like just a little creature. Imagine I go over to it and I start stroking in it. That little thing might be really scared of me. So it's this thing of like, we only think something's scary because we think it's scary. But if we can stop thinking it's scary, it's not going to be scary anymore. I like that. That's quite cool. This week's little inspirational quote, I love it. Such a powerful one it is. Only by facing your demons can you stop them having power over you.